Sorry, I'm the one pressing all the buttons here, so give me 2 seconds here, but perfect. Okay. Everyone, welcome to Tech Talk with Pratik. I'm your host, Pratik Patel, and every month, we learn from different industry experts about what's important to the channel community, and this month is no different. But before we get into that, I'd like to chat about, the event I went to last month. Sorry about that. Yeah, last month, I had an opportunity to attend Lenovo Accelerate, and let me tell you, it was a fantastic event. It was really packed with insightful information about what's really important with Lenovo and how they're really driving success for the channel community. And first off, the storage portfolio refresh was a major highlight. And we already knew that because we actually discussed this in April's Tech Talk session, and it's called the largest refresh in Lenovo history. So if you're interested in learning more about what that change really entails, I'm going to actually put the link in the chat here, so you have access to the recording, or if you want to have a more of a one-on-one session, definitely reach out to me, and I can definitely help with getting you and connecting with the right people here. And also, give me 1 second. As you might expect, AI took center stage, and literally it was the center stage. There were keynotes, main stage events, and breakout sessions, all dedicated to AI, basically showcasing real-world use cases and channel partner success stories. And honestly, that's why Lenovo is partnering with customers worldwide to really deliver real-world AI outcomes. Lenovo is doing this through their 3 key pillars. First is AI infrastructure, which includes high-performance storage and compute that spans data center and edge solutions. Second is AI Discover, that helps you achieve faster time to value with their AI Center of Excellence. And third, the AI Innovators Program, that gives you access to certified AI solution partners to solve your clients' needs. Together, these 3 pillars, it's almost like 3 superheroes got together, because they're really your key to success in delivering those end-to-end solutions that really drive innovation and efficiency, what we're seeing from basically the outcomes of AI. And then, just going on beyond AI, the event had many other exciting updates on how Lenovo is really supporting you, our channel partner. So if you want to learn more about what was discussed, or you just want to understand a little bit more about all the different offerings that are available, please reach out to us and we'd be able to help you. We can set up like a one-on-one to discuss any of the updates. I put some of the relevant emails that you can, reach out to. You can use any of these to reach us. But, that was a quick recap of the Lenovo Accelerate that we kind of, that I attended last month. And, now I kind of want to get to the main event here. Today, we're joined by Justin Arcand from Microsoft. He's got some exciting info on how Microsoft adds value to client and data center solutions. Justin, thank you for being with here.
Come on, unmute. There it is. Now. Took a little while to unmute for some reason. Okay. Thanks so much for bringing me on board. This is going to be great. I haven't really had a chance to really bring people through the Server 2025 discussion since we brought out this new content. So it's really thrilling to me to be able to do this for Lenovo and for the team at Ingram and everybody who's on the call. A lot of great changes. A lot of stuff is going to be quite familiar for those who are already kind of ingrained in the server infrastructure, the Azure conversation, all of that stuff. But, we have a solid 45 minutes and 50 minutes to get through it. And while I don't think I'll have a ton of time to answer any questions during, I'll kind of cherry pick some of the best questions that might appear in the chat. So don't be shy, make use of the chat, and we'll see if we can't come up with some good discourse at the end here. But hey, without further ado, we can jump right in. But a little about me, a little quick thing. Again, my name is Justin. I'm the Device Partner Master Trainer for Canada. But guess what? I do a ton of work down in the US. So realistically, you can call me an international trainer. Doesn't matter. Every time I visit the US is a fantastic time. I visit Topgolf. I visit all the amusement parks. And I drink some pretty good American beer. Not going to lie. Anyway, here we go. Enough about me. Let's jump right into the content. So yes, we're talking about Server 2025 from Windows, the latest evolution of Microsoft Server trusted server platform that's been powering businesses for, come on, over 30 years, right? And before we dive into the details, we're going to take a moment to highlight what's new in this release. Okay, because Windows Server 2025 brings a whole host of innovations designed to help organizations modernize their infrastructure while maintaining the reliability that they've depended on. Okay, and key enhancements, here we go. You get advanced security features that help protect against modern threats. You get AI-powered management tools that simplify operations to reduce overhead. You get improved hybrid cloud capabilities that makes it easier to integrate with Azure and other cloud services, and performance and scalability upgrades that, to help support today's most demanding workloads. And this release is all about helping customers stay secure and agile and future ready without compromising on control or flexibility. So let's take a closer look at how these capabilities can help your business, can help support your business and technical goals. All right. So let's talk about market challenges, because it's important to take a step back and understand the environment that our customers are operating in, right? A lot of them, especially small to medium-sized businesses, SMBs, they're navigating a significant economic headwind. And according to a recent US Chamber of Commerce survey, inflation remains top concern for SMB owners. And they're also contending with supply chain disruptions and labor shortages. That makes it harder to access the tools and the talent and the time they need to keep operations running smoothly. And at the same time, external pressures are intensifying. Customer expectations continue to rise, and if those expectations aren't met, customers are more than willing to explore alternatives, including competitors. So, in the face of rising costs, limited resources, and growing customer expectations, businesses, especially SMBs, they're under pressure to do more with less. And that's where technology becomes not just a tool, but a strategic enabler. Okay. So to combat these issues, customers need technology that can support their businesses with stuff like this: security, innovation, cost savings, modernization, agility, and resiliency. When businesses embrace technology that can support them in these ways, technology can help strengthen their security posture while empowering them with emerging technology like AI. And it all leads to what we call digital transformation. When we talk about this, we're not just talking about upgrading to the latest tools or platforms. We talk about this at its core. Digital transformation is about rethinking how technology is used to drive business outcomes by optimizing operations, automating workflows, and modernizing infrastructure. But it's more than just a technical shift. It's also a cultural shift, a mindset change that positions technology as a strategic partner, not just a support function. And when you do it right, digital transformation helps businesses overcome today's challenges, like resource constraints and rising customer expectations, while also unlocking new opportunities for growth and innovation. Well, Windows Server 2025 was built to help businesses with exactly that, exactly the digital transformation. I talked about it. It offers enhanced security, including secured core server to help customers stay protected from end to end. Upgraded capabilities, like the ability to easily extend on-premises hardware to the cloud. That's what we used to call Azure Stack HCI, now called Azure Local, but we'll get into that. That helps customers modernize efficiently and effectively. And AI-driven innovations, like resource allocation and hot patching with Azure Arc, that enables your customers flexibility, resiliency, and future preparedness. Now, as we all prepare to pitch Windows Server 2025, it's important to understand who we might be speaking with and what matters to them. First up, business decision makers, BDMs, like company owners or department heads. They're focused on outcomes. They want to maximize ROI. Simple as that. They want to accelerate time to market. They want to keep operational costs under control. They're looking for solutions that help them stay competitive and drive innovation without it being overly complex, right? Next up, technical decision makers like CIOs and IT leads focused on how a solution fits into their existing infrastructure. They care a lot about security and compliance and scalability. They want to know how Windows Server 2025 can help them meet business goals while maintaining control, reducing risk, and optimizing performance. And we can't forget about the IT pros themselves, right? Not quite our primary audience, but still, it's important to keep them in mind because these are the guys and girls that are on the floor who are going to work with the products that come from us, that come from Lenovo, that come from whoever. They work with them every day. And they're interested in solutions that are easy to deploy and simple to manage. Imagine that, easy to deploy, simple to manage. And they know that their existing infrastructure, they know it. They know it like the back of their hand. So they can smell snake oil from a mile away. But that's, see, you got a chuckle from somebody. But here we go. Let's have a look at the additions before we jump into the full brunt of everything here. So we have Server Essentials. We've had Server Essentials for a while. This edition is built for very small businesses or first-time server customers. They're only available pre-installed on OEM hardware. Okay, so its availability is kind of limited. And for most conversations, we'll focus on the next two editions. Okay, Server 2025 Standard, ideal for organizations that primarily run workloads on-prem and have light virtualization needs. It's a solid, cost-effective option for businesses looking to modernize without having to overhaul their entire infrastructure. Then there's Windows Server Data Center. Okay, that's designed for businesses with high virtualization density that are embracing hybrid or cloud-first strategies or want to do so. It offers the most advanced capabilities for scalability, for flexibility, and integration with, of course, Azure. And with these three additions, the fun part is that there's a version of Windows Server 2025 to meet the needs of nearly every customer, whether they're just getting started or they're scaling up a complex environment. All right, what about core value propositions that make Server 2025 a compelling choice? Well, first, security and resilience. They're front and center with features like secured core server, enhanced identity protection, and rebootless patching. Yeah. Windows Server 2025 helps businesses stay protected and operational, even in the face of evolving threats. Then, it's also built for hybrid flexibility. It brings the best of cloud to on-prem environments with seamless integration into Azure and other services. It's a future-ready platform that supports wherever your customers are on their cloud journey. And then finally, it's optimized for performance at scale, whether running mission-critical workloads or supporting demanding applications. Server 2025 offers or delivers the speed and the efficiency and reliability that businesses need to stay competitive. Let's break it down. When the slides decide to change, here we go. So we know security is a top priority, top priority for nearly every organization today. And Windows Server 2025, built with that in mind, delivers advanced protection and operational resilience, helping businesses stay ahead of evolving threats while continuing to grow and innovate. Let's walk through these features. The first is a huge one, hot patching via Azure Arc. IT teams can apply critical security updates to on-prem servers without needing to reboot. That's insane. That means less downtime, faster patching, and a stronger security posture. I'll go into that in a little more detail because that's a huge one. New enhancements to Microsoft Defender provides you even more robust protection against modern, sophisticated threats, helping safeguard systems from malware, ransomware, and worse, who knows? Of course, there's that multi-layered approach to security from the hardware layer to the OS and into the cloud. Every layer is designed to work together to protect the environment. And one of the most important features, secured core server support. This combines hardware and firmware and OS level protections to create a hardened platform, ideal for running your most critical workloads securely from the moment that the server's turned on. And then finally, VBS, virtualization-based security, to help isolate sensitive processes and data, protecting against unauthorized access, even from within the system itself. Isolate these bad things. I'd like to jump into this here, this full features deep dive, real quick. It says deep dive, but trust me, we'll get through it in no time flat, because it talks about hot patching, and that's huge. Not just a sidebar, but I mean, it's a key part of the value story, okay? Especially for customers prioritizing protection, uptime, and trust, okay? So here we go. Multi-layered security. That's the comprehensive approach that protects customers at every level of their infrastructure. Think of it like a modern security framework, not just a single barrier. Just like a secure facility would use multiple defenses, right? I'm talking a physical on-prem place, for example, like gates and guards and surveillance, right? It's not just a lock and key anymore. Windows Server 2025, it layers protection like the hardware, from the hardware and firmware through the operating system and into the cloud. Having this architecture just helps to defend against today's most advanced threats by ensuring that if one layer is compromised, others are still in place to help protect the system. It's proactive, it's defense in depth, and it's a strategy that helps give customers the confidence to run critical workloads securely, whether they're on-prem or in hybrid environments or at the edge. What about that layered approach to security, right? What if we start at the hardware and firmware levels? That's where secured core server comes in. The capability is on supported hardware. Customers get advanced protection against firmware level attacks. One of the most difficult threat vectors to defend and detect. And features like TPM 2.0 and System Guard help ensure system integrity from the moment that the server boots. TPM securely stores encryption keys, while System Guard verifies only trusted software is loaded and monitors for suspicious activity. And then together, these features create a hardware-based root of trust, a secure foundation that protects the entire system from the ground up. And by combining modern hardware with Windows Server 2025, modern Lenovo hardware, right? Customers gain enterprise-grade protection from power on to production. All right, here's the game-changing capability to on-prem environments. Hot patching, now available when connected through Azure Arc. This powerful feature allows your customers to apply critical security updates to their on-prem servers without requiring a reboot. That means less downtime, fewer disruptions to business-critical workloads, and a smoother experience for IT teams managing complex environments. Right? For organizations that traditionally rely on frequent reboots to stay secure, hot patching, major relief. Significantly reduces the operational burden on IT administrators, helping them maintain uptime and performance while staying compliant with security standards. And with the combination of Windows Server 2025 and Azure Arc, the number of required reboots drops significantly. Let's call it from 12 per year to 4. Huge reduction. Okay, and that means way more uptime for that business. Imagine not having to go down because of an update. And that's more than just a technical improvement. It's a strategic advantage for businesses that demand high availability and efficiency. And what about this, strengthening the security foundation with VBS, for example, a proven platform that isolates sensitive memory to protect critical processes from tampering? And what's new in this release? We've been doing VBS for a while, but now we got VBS enclaves to isolate high-value workloads from the OS and host apps, reducing the risk of data exposure, even in compromised environments. And then, of course, we got VBS key protection to safeguard cryptographic keys from admin-level threats, ensuring security key management for sensitive operations. And these enhancements make Windows Server 2025 a compelling choice for organizations prioritizing zero trust and secure infrastructure. And it builds on the trusted Windows Defender platform with advanced features like Credential Guard to isolate and protect passwords, Exploit Guard to help detect and block suspicious activity, and integrated advanced threat protection, ATP, for deep real-time threat detection across server memory and core components, all working together to harden your server environment against these modern attacks. And trust me, there's a few more security bits that I would love to go through one by one, but it's a lot. I'll let you kind of linger on this slide for just a moment. But there's many different ways to kind of learn about these environments. And what I'll do is I'll share a link in the chat in just a moment to kind of have access to that. And I see a quick question here. Azure Arc is a separate license. I'll answer that at the end. But Azure Arc integration, we might even cover it in the deck. So look forward to that. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about the way to help customers modernize their infrastructure and embrace the flexibility of hybrid environments, right? We want to bridge that gap between on-prem and the cloud. Here we go. Azure Arc integration. Let's Windows Server 2025 to extend to Azure's capabilities directly into on-prem environments, bringing cloud innovations to wherever your servers live. We got the Windows Admin Center. That simplifies day-to-day management with a unified browser-based console that gives IT teams full visibility and control across both on-prem and cloud resources. One pane of glass, easy access. Manage your entire server infrastructure from there. Azure Monitor. Organizations gain access to intelligent insights and predictive analytics to help them scale efficiently and proactively address issues before they impact performance. The Azure Hybrid Services tool makes it easy to discover and deploy integrated Azure features, whether you're running workloads locally in the cloud or both. And altogether, Windows Server 2025 is designed for seamless hybrid management, from storage to networking to virtual machines and beyond. Okay? Now, to stay competitive, businesses need to move forward. And Windows Server 2025 is built to help them do just that. It delivers the performance, the scalability, and the modernization needed to support today's critical workloads and tomorrow's growth. But how do we enable that transformation? Server 2025 is a modern OS for modern infrastructures. It introduces enhancements like expanded memory support for virtual machines, broader device and processor compatibility, and improved congestion control, making it easier for businesses to scale with confidence. Storage improvements that streamline the migration process, making it faster and more efficient to move to Windows Server 2025. Windows containers. They provide secure, isolated environments that keep applications running fast and reliable, right? Ideal for modern app deployment. Software-defined data center capabilities. Businesses can scale their infrastructure while continuing to leverage existing hardware investments. It maximizes value. It minimizes disruption. And with multiple editions available, like we talked about, Server 2025 offers the flexibility to match each customer's unique needs, whether they're running a small operation or a huge virtualized environment. All right. Let's spend a few minutes here talking about how Windows Server 2025 integrates with Microsoft Azure and creates new opportunities in the process. So, I mean, high level, what is Azure, right? We know this. The full answer could take days, but here's the short version. Azure is Microsoft's cloud platform. That's it. It gives businesses the ability to store data, run applications, and access computing power without the need to maintain physical servers. You can scale up, you can scale down. This means companies can reduce their hardware costs and scale operations quickly and manage resources more efficiently. And they can stay agile and competitive in a fast-moving digital world. So think of Azure Arc as the bridge that connects Windows Server 2025 to the power of the cloud. With Azure Arc, customers can extend Azure's capabilities like management and security and governance directly into their server environment, whether those servers are on-prem at the edge or at the data center. Okay. But combined with Windows Server 2025, this is how it delivers real business value. First, Azure Arc provides centralized management across on-prem, edge, multi-cloud environments, all through the Azure portal. A unified approach simplifies operations and governance, helping customers drive consistency and efficiency through their infrastructure. Second, it unlocks access to powerful Azure services. For example, customers can use hot patching. That allows them to apply security updates without rebooting, and even on-prem servers, right? Less downtime, stronger security. Azure Arc also enables consistent security policies across all environments. With tools like the Azure Policy and Microsoft Defender for Cloud, customers can enforce compliance and protect against threats, no matter where their servers are located. And thanks to built-in AI, Azure Arc can intelligently manage resources, automatically scale workloads, all based on demand. This helps avoid over-provisioning and reducing waste and keep systems running smoothly. And finally, Azure Arc supports consistent application development. The apps that are built on Azure can run on Windows Server. They can run on-prem or in the cloud without needing to change development workflows. Just one API. That means faster deployment for greater flexibility for dev teams. All right. So far, so good. Let's shift gears. I'm going to touch briefly on sales and licensing. Licensing used to take forever. It was a huge section. It was a whole section on its own. But today we're going to keep it high level. Okay. The goal isn't to cover every single detail, but just to kind of give a solid foundation, just enough to understand the key terms, the conditions, the considerations you'll need when positioning Windows Server 2025 with customers. Because guess what? Yeah, you can sell the hardware. Yeah, you can sell the software, that being server, standard, or data center, but there's more money to be made by selling licensing, right? Core licensing, client access licenses. We'll go right into it. Here we go. So let me break it down. There's two essential components of physical server licensing: processors and cores. Every physical server has one or more processors. We know this. Each processor contains multiple cores, which are the actual units that perform the computing tasks. When it comes to licensing Server 2025, every physical core on every processor must be licensed. Okay? Back in the day, it was every processor. Before that, it was every server. Now it's every core on the processor. This is a key compliance requirement under Microsoft's core-based licensing model. And there's minimums to keep in mind. Each physical processor must be licensed for at least 8 cores, even if it has fewer. So if you're running a 4-core processing server, first of all, you're not going to get amazing performance, but aside from that, you need to procure yourself 8 core licenses. Okay? Each physical server must be licensed for at least 16 cores total, regardless of how many processors it has. Most servers will have dual CPUs, right? So you get your minimum 8 core, and every physical server itself 16. Okay? So in practical terms, the minimum number of core licenses that a customer can purchase for a single server is 16, even if the server only has one processor with fewer than 8 cores. Okay? So as a whole, ignore the 8. 16 would be the number that you're really focusing on, because one server, 16. Simple as that. The model ensures consistency and scalability across environments, and it's important to factor these minimums into any licensing conversation. All right, let's talk about another key part of Windows Server licensing: client access licenses, or CALs. CALs are required for users or devices to legally access Windows Server. There's 2 main types of CALs to be aware of. First, we have user CALs. These are assigned to individual users, not devices. A user CAL allows that person to access Windows Server services from any device, whether it's a desktop or a laptop or a phone. This is ideal for employees who use multiple devices throughout their workday. I mean, if I were in a physical room right now and I said, show of hands, how many people use more than just their laptop for their work, right? I mean, right now I got my laptop, I got my phone somewhere charging over there. Either way, that means for me to access my company's resources, I have to have a user client access license. Then there's device client access licenses. These are assigned to a specific device rather than a person. So any number of users can access Windows Server from that licensed device. This model works well in environments like call centers, labs, shared workstations, right? I'm thinking just, again, doctor's office, vet place, where they rotate staff all the time, right? You log out, next person logs in, same access. That's a device license. Pretty simple, really. But whoop, let's go back. Back, please. There we go. Okay, quick rule here is user CALs best for when people use many devices. Device CALs best for when multiple people share devices. Okay, and there's something important to note. Windows Server 2025 CALs include downgrade rights. Okay, that means they can be used to access earlier versions of Windows Server, specifically Server 2022 and 2019, which is helpful for customers running mixed environments or they've been transitioning gradually. So let's quickly compare the two server editions that you'll most likely work with, Standard and Data Center. So Standard Edition is ideal for customers with mostly on-prem infrastructure and light virtualization needs. And here's what it includes. Licensing for 2 virtual machines and 1 Hyper-V host per license. Okay, 2 virtual OSEs and Hyper-V isolated containers. If a customer needs more than 2 VMs, they can stack standard licenses if they want. But once they reach 12 or more VMs, Data Center becomes a bit more cost effective. And that's where Data Center comes in. Data Center is built for customers with high virtualization density or those expanding into hybrid cloud. And guess how many licenses VMs it includes? It's unlimited virtual machines, 1 Hyper-V host per license, unlimited virtual OSCs, and Hyper-V isolated containers. So unlimited everything, but the 1 Hyper-V host. So yeah, if you're running hypervisor, you get the 1, and you can run unlimited off of that. But this is the fun part about data centers. This edition is the best fit for customers scaling aggressively or running large virtualized environments, right? They're prepared for the future more than anybody.
So Justin,
yes.
While we're talking about licensing, is there, what's the upgrade paths? Can you, like you kind of mentioned a couple different previous versions of Windows Server. So, is there a specific path that you need to get to 2025?
Not necessarily. If you're running 2019 or 2022, it's fairly simple. I mean, you buy the license. You either get the OEM software, whether it's on USB or whatever, you load it, and the transition happens pretty organically. I don't know if that's what you meant, but more on the purchasing side.
That's it. I mean, basically, I just wanted to know, did you need to upgrade to a certain version level before you could upgrade to 2025, or could you just jump from any previous version that you had?
As long as your hardware is compatible, you can jump right into 2025. But I mean, ideally, what you and I want to do is sell new hardware anyway, right?
Right.
But there are those customers that, have been running 2019 or 2022 or whatever, or God forbid, 2008. But again, if their hardware is compatible, go for it. Upgrade to your heart's content.
Perfect. Thank you.
And there's the hardware, what was it? Rock. The built-in stuff. So if you buy hardware, you can have server just baked right into the hardware as well. You just have to pay for the licensing. All right. So good question. Love it. To stay competitive, businesses need to evolve. We know that those that don't, they modernize. That don't modernize, they risk falling behind. Okay. Server 2025 helps to give customers the tools they need to move forward with confidence delivers enterprise-grade security and flexibility, helps organizations protect their data while adapting to changing needs. It enables seamless hybrid integration, connecting on-prem infrastructure to the cloud with total ease. And then with AI-driven features, it supports greater productivity, resilience, and readiness for what's next. And when paired with modern hardware, Server 2025 helps businesses scale faster and help boost agility and unlock high-performance computing for critical workloads. So if your customers want to stay competitive, they need more than just an upgrade. They need a platform that supports true digital transformation. They need a solution that secures their data, that connects them to the cloud. It helps them move faster and smarter, right? They need Windows Server 2025, a modern foundation built to power what's next. And that felt a little bit like a finality, but let me go back to one aspect here with the cloud ready and the hybrid capabilities, because there's a bit more to unpack there. And we're doing quite well on time. Here we go. Because this is very important. Talking about the hybrid capabilities. So connecting to Azure Arc, for example, right? Server 2025, it brings Azure's powerful capabilities directly into customers' data centers through Azure Arc. That integration simplifies the onboarding process to Azure's hybrid features and enhances operational flexibility, while also allowing your customers to manage and secure their hybrid and multi-cloud environments more effectively. It connects to on-prem, cloud, and edge. We know this. Offers customers a unified management experience across their entire infrastructure, and enables customers to take advantage of Azure's built-in security policies and supports compliance across environments. We know this. Now, if your customers have hybrid infrastructure using Azure, they can take advantage of Azure integrated management features. Let's talk about Azure Monitor, right? Incredibly powerful for hybrid use cases. It can collect data directly from both physical and virtual Windows computers and input it into a log analytics workspace. This allows for detailed analysis and correlation of your customers' data. Essentially, it can give them deep insight into their infrastructure, helping them make informed decisions and keeping everything running smoothly. And then the Azure Hybrid Services tool in the Admin Center, in Windows Admin Center. This tool, game changer for hybrid environments. It consolidates all integrated Azure services into a single centralized hub. You don't have to fumble with different applications. It's all in one place. This means that your customers can easily discover and implement these services, whether they're working on-prem or in a hybrid setup. It's all about making their life easier and their operations smoother. And we've been discussing on how Windows Server 2025 can seamlessly integrate with Azure to create powerful hybrid environments. I'm pretty much sick of it now, but whether you're managing on-prem servers or cloud services or a mix of both, Windows Admin Center and Azure services provide comprehensive solutions for your customers. How do they do it? They do it through seamless management of hybrid server environments. It integrates with Azure Arc, allows customers to manage both their on-prem and their cloud resources from a single interface, storage migration that simplifies the process of migrating servers and their data to newer versions of Windows Server or to Azure. To answer that question. System insights. Built-in predictive analytics and monitoring tools provide insight into server performance and potential issues. This is fun because it's a proactive approach that helps maintain optimal server health and performance. It allows customers to address problems before they even happen and worse, impact the business. Protecting VMs is huge, right? Enhances security features, including shielded VMs and secure boot. It protects virtual machines from unauthorized access and tampering. It makes sure that customers' virtualized workloads, they remain secure, safeguard their critical data and apps. Enhanced Active Directory authentication, stuff like that. New security capabilities in AD to improve authentication processes, making them more secure and more stable. Includes better encryption, better protocol improvements, and support for modern authentication methods, enhancing security for customers' businesses. And then last but not least, synchronizing file servers. So Server 2025 includes improvements to file server synchronization, making it easier to keep data consistent across multiple locations. We know this. Redundancy is hugely important. This is particularly useful for organizations with distributed environments, ensuring data integrity and accessibility. So high level, server, Azure, combined, customers are equipped to handle the complexities of a hybrid environment with ease, much easier, right? That's kind of the piece on that. And there might be more lingering questions, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to let you in on a secret here. We have a tool called Expert Zone. And Expert Zone is the best place to kind of fill in any blanks that might have arisen during our little session here. Fantastic place to pad your knowledge and enhance kind of your profile on Microsoft products. It's a great way to link your achievements through, for example, like on LinkedIn, for example, just to showcase, hey, you know, I finished this, ask me anything kind of deal. And then you become that trusted advisor for your customers. Best thing about it too is it's constantly evolving. There's always something new on Expert Zone to help our customer, well, not necessarily our customers, but our friends at OEM and reseller and distributors to keep their knowledge at its peak and be as forward thinking and ready to answer all the complex questions right away, which is nice. Okay. So I will share this link in the chat here, and I'll get to answering some questions. Here's the Expert Zone link to get signed up. And that is the Windows Server 2025 session. Now, let me pull up the question about licensing. Let me get rid of this. And Pratik, is there anything you'd like to fill the silence while I dig up this info? Oh, you're muted, my friend.
No, I like to keep the silence, you know, let you feel a little pressure there. But yeah, I really appreciate everything. This is really great, you know. I think, you know, we always talk about the hardware, but this is, you know, we're trying to put all the pieces together. So this was perfect.
There we go. So I knew I had this link somewhere. So there's the pricing structure for Azure. The reason I can't give you a solid price is because it's so dynamic. It depends on the situation, depends what you need, what your environment looks like. So realistically, if you explore this resource here, this is where you can request quotes and whatnot, but you can decide, you know, okay, well, where am I operating? What's required? Here's a little bit of pricing here, but it's so variable that you'll have to explore it on your own. But bookmark that. Very important.
So then just a comment on pricing. You have the Ingram Micro team that can help you with, you know, with getting a deal reg and things like that. So pricing is always going to be, you know, according to just there's so much flexibility in that, like you said, you know, there's nothing, you know, there's no one pricing that's going to work if we have, you don't have to say it. So I know there are a couple of things that came in.
Yeah, question about Hyper-V. Are there any fundamental changes? And then Azure Local, any other examples of when to use one over the other? I know there's no plan to merge the two platforms. Well, that's just it, is back, well, even just a few years ago with Azure Stack HCI, right? That was offering a hardware solution to strictly on-prem local environments to extend out into the cloud without having to do a full-on migration into the cloud. Is a good middle ground to help companies scale up, right? I don't think, and I don't like to speculate. I don't want to tell you, yeah, they're going to integrate them, or no, they won't, or I think they will, or they won't. Right now, as it stands, there's still two separate environments. Windows Server 2025 just makes the whole thing easier to integrate. So you get yourself an Azure local, hardware solution that can be built that way, and you load it with Server 2025. Boom, you're ready to go. So I'd like to say parts of it are already merged because of how easy they integrate with one another. But as far as, for example, I know where you're getting at. I think you're going to say something like, oh, is it going to be called Windows Server Azure? In the future, we're going to drop the year requirement and it's going to be all cloud. I don't know. I'm not high enough on the totem pole to give you that information, but it's a great answer. And speaking as a tech forward guy, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens in the near future. So who knows? I don't have any links for the June Tech Talk. I think that's he'll be emailing. There you go, the June link after the event. And as far as the, I didn't forget about the Hyper-V question. Off the top of my head, something that wasn't quite mentioned in the presentation. It can do generation 2 VMs by default, right? You get huge scalability gains. You can partition your GPU now, which is awesome. So you operate on the one GPU, split it up, kind of like that. What else? I have to dig into my resources here. Something like dynamic processor compatibility mode. So this is a new feature that improves VM mobility across different CPU generations. And that's super useful in Azure Stack HCI and hybrid environments, right? There's a large footprint of different hardware solutions. That's what we want to do. We don't want to leave any server or processor generation behind if we don't have to, right? I think that's it. One of the biggest questions I get is about licensing and how complex it can be, but it's really not. Like, take that minimum 16 per server and just go with it. So if your customer is running, 4 servers, do the math. 4 servers, okay, and they're all, as long as you don't have more than the 16 required in that server. Like, some servers will have a processor with 32 cores built in, 64 cores even now. So that just means, yes, server licensing dollars. Let's go. Here we go. Question from Daniel. Am I correct in this that the standalone Hyper-V role in server 2020 allows external storage, Lenovo series VM storage, Azure local hyperconverged with storage in each host? Good question. Let me just reread that. It's an external storage. Azure local. Okay, yes. Yeah, so you got that standalone Hyper-V, right? And yeah, you can support that external storage, including the Lenovo hardware. What's fun about this is, what is it? It's for traditional data center deployments, okay, where flexibility in storage, in the storage vendors, for example, and architecture is needed, right? So that's for the standalone Hyper-V. For Azure Local, which we used to call Azure Stack HCI, your best use case for that. But if we're talking hyper-converged only, okay, Azure Local, that's designed as an HCI solution because each host includes both compute and storage, and data is replicated across your nodes using storage spaces, right? But the best suited environment for this are edge deployments and regulated environments that need Azure services locally with cloud-like management. I don't know if that answers your question, but here, I'll give you a summary table because this kind of helps bridge the gap. And this was in one of my other resources that I pulled up. This could be very helpful. So here you go. I hope this helps.
Oh, that's an awesome table. I don't think I've seen that before. That's super helpful here. Yeah, yeah. I like
we
the
got
format.
good resources here at Microsoft.
Oh yeah, I've noticed that. So yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Justin. This was great stuff. You know, this is exactly kind of information that I was expecting from Microsoft, really, things that are really going to move the needle. Thank you for sharing. I know if you're able to share the slide deck with me, I can actually, use that as part of the follow-up activities that I do. We can kind of talk about that afterwards. But everyone, if you're ready to really act on what you heard today, you know, just know that Ingram Micro has the tools, the tech, and the team to really help you win. So what's next? You can ping us for a one-on-one session, book a hands-on, solution demo, or even set up a training for your organization. All you need to do is just email us at lenovo.servers@ingrammicro.com. I'm hoping that everyone is familiar with that email because that's the first email that you use to do anything. And probably, another tool that I'm really excited about is bookings. So, use our bookings link. I'm gonna put in the chat here, but you can actually grab time with us, right? Put something on our calendar, meet us and whatever we want to discuss from technology to promotions, we can kind of discuss anything you need. But that's really it. That kind of brings us to the end of another great session. A big thank you to Justin, and of course to all of you for tuning in today. Have a great day, everyone. Make it a terrific Tuesday, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you from Team
Thank
Ingram.
you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.